multiple vacancies for various posts issued by the Delhi Development Authority last week. So today we are going to discuss about the examination, the important dates that are there, eligibility criteria, exam pattern, marking scheme, syllabus of just an overview, okay, of the syllabus, some previous year paper analysis, and how do we prepare or what should be our basic strategy. Because see, right now, whatever the notification that has come, it is only talking about that, okay, for this post, there are so many vacancies. For the second post, there are so many vacancies. But your syllabus, other details are still not yet published. Okay, neither is your exam date. So, what we are going to be doing is relying on some past data as well for your syllabus and exam pattern, and likewise, as well as your eligibility criteria. So, if you see, we have various posts. So, for planning, we have the deputy director planning post where there are 4 vacancies. Then we have assistant director planning, which has 19 vacancies. And then we have planning assistant, which has 23 vacancies. Coming to architecture, that is highlighted in green over here, you have deputy director architecture, which has 4 vacancies, assistant director architecture with 8 vacancies, and architectural assistant, which has 9 vacancies in total. Okay. As far as the dates are concerned, the form filling process is going to start from 6th of October. So you can start applying. The website will open on 6th of October at 10 a.m. and the last date is going to be 5th of November to fill the form. So you tentatively have around 1 month to fill the form. What I would suggest is don't wait till this date. Finish it off in this period itself. So from 6th of October till max 10th, 12th of October, you should have filled your form and be done with it. Because if you wait till the last date, the website is going to get hanged. It is not going to work. The server is going to be down. All these issues are going to happen like every time. Okay. And the exam is going to be an online computer based test exam. So you will have a MCQ type exam, but instead of a physical paper, your examination will be on the computer like your gate exam. Okay, and tentatively it would be between December to January. Okay, so they would announce the date sometime, probably after the form filling is done. Now, as far as the eligibility criteria is concerned, let us look at it one by one. So this eligibility criteria that I'm discussing is based upon the past data. They have not yet issued the new data yet. Okay, so we are hoping it is almost going to be similar. In case of any change, you will be updated about it through Exam Assure. So for deputy director planning, maximum age is 40, maximum age limit. And educational qualifications, you need either your B.Arch or B.Plan graduation plus an M.Plan master's plus another 5 years of experience. For assistant director planning, maximum age is 35, where you need a graduation either in architecture or planning and a master's in planning. So here there is no criteria of experience. For planning assistant, maximum age limit is 30 years of age, and you need either a graduation in architecture or in planning. Okay, so this is based on the past data is what I'm telling you. Now, for deputy director, another addition where you have, in this case, let's say your uh, BA Geography, BA Economics people are also eligible. Okay. In this case, for graduation and then a M-Plan degree for Deputy Director. Coming to Deputy Director Architecture, again, same. Age limit maximum is 40. Graduation in architecture plus MArch plus 5 years of experience that is required. For Assistant Director Architecture, you have 35 years of age limit plus BArch and MArch both. Okay. And for architectural assistant, again 30 years of age limit and bachelor's in architecture is what is compulsory. So for these two posts, you don't need experience. Again, similarly for assistant director and planning assistant in planning, and same for assistant director architecture and architectural assistant, there is no requirement of experience that is there. Okay, BE civil plus M plan is also eligible. Okay, so Arshad and Dattu Gond, BE civil and M plan both is also eligible for this case for your planning posts. Fine. Plus your BA geography, MA geography plus M plan is also eligible. Economics is also, BA economics is also eligible. Is it clear? Everybody, candidates who are confused, who are from other background other than BArt or B plan or architecture or planning. Okay, you require a M plan degree for that. So this is based on the previous notifications. Let me be very clear again. Okay. In case if there are any changes this time, we will keep you updated about it. So this is tentative. Please don't panic or anything. Okay. Civil plus M plan is also allowed. Your geography, economics plus M plan is also allowed. Fine. Coming to the exam pattern and marking scheme. Now, this is going to be the same throughout for all of these posts. So, the overall exam syllabus that is there, okay, or the tentative exam pattern that is there, if you see your syllabus is going to be divided into two parts. So, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 consists of your respective discipline. So, if I am giving an architectural assistant paper, I will be getting questions from architecture. If I'm giving planning assistant, then planning questions, whatever it is, respective discipline. So here I have 80 questions of this part 1. Okay, be it the director or the assistant or the other posts as well. Part 2 is divided into your aptitude. Okay, so here you have 4 types. One is reasoning, one is quantitative aptitude, general awareness, and English. So you are going to have 10 questions of each of these. Okay, so total part 2 consists of your 40 questions. Part 1 is going to contain 80 questions. In total, you are going to have 120 questions in the examination. Is everybody clear with this? All your doubts and queries I will attend towards the end of the class. Okay. For OBC seat, please check the official notification for details. Okay. You can apply for as many posts as you are eligible. Fine. I hope everybody is clear. In terms of your marking, the questions, like we said, is 120 questions for total of 120 marks. So that is 1 mark for each question. And where you give a wrong answer, there is a point 0.3 negative marking that is there, or 1/3 negative marking that is going to be there. Okay, and total you have 2 hours 120 minutes. So that is basically 1 minute per question. So in this case, if you see, practicing your mock tests and questions is very, very important because you need that speed. Okay, because 1 minute per question is something that is less, or sometimes it could also happen for some XYZ question, you might need more time, right? So you need to be able to cover up and balance. Okay. Abhishek, is there some doubt in the marking scheme? Abhishek Nanda? No? Okay, because you've mentioned, I thought there's some doubt or something you want to ask. Okay. I hope everyone's clear till here. Now let us look at the tentative exam syllabus. Okay, so we are going to discuss now, even the syllabus is not yet out. So we are going to just discuss the overall planning syllabus, what all has been asked till date, and we are going to discuss the overall architecture syllabus separately. Part 2 syllabus is not defined means, Arshad. So here I have clearly mentioned part 2 and what all is asked. So you have reasoning, aptitude, general awareness. So basically general knowledge questions, your English comprehension, that is there. Quantitative aptitude is your speed, distance, time, etc. related questions that are there. Okay. Let's move on to the tentative exam syllabus. Now, as far as planning is concerned, first let us look at that. So here under your planning, be it deputy director or assistant director or planning assistant. Now planning assistant has little less uh, content from what I'm sharing here, but overall it is the same. Now for planning assistant, if you see, you have this part 1, you have part 3 and 4, whereas the rest is there for all. Now here again, though this is a planning examination, planning related post vacancy, you have questions related to architecture also. So here again, in architecture, if you look at it, you have your basic architectural design that is there. Plus you have some questions from history of architecture that is there. Okay, structures and all is not there. But other than that, you have these questions, these subjects on which questions are asked. Though this is a planning exam, so don't go with the mindset that okay, this is planning, so architecture I can ignore. No. Again, coming to environmental planning design, you have questions from your basic environment as well. So basics of environment, like what are the terminologies, etc. that are there. All of that is as well asked. Urban planning, housing. So here again, you have some numericals in housing that you can expect. Plus in urban planning, you are going to have your basics again of planning, where let's say your types of plans, to give you just an example, hierarchy of plans. Along with that, your planning history, who has come up with which theory, or what is CA Doxiad is saying, or what is your concentric zone model talking about, etc. Same planning techniques management. Here you will also have questions related to land management. What is your land pooling? Just to give you an example, okay? What are various techniques that are there? Services, infrastructure, and transportation. So here, services are going to be more of your city level services, not your building services. Okay. So your city-wide infrastructure, then solid waste management, that is there. And of course, transportation, your modes of transport, your surveys of transportation, planning legislation and GIS. Again, under legislation, you have all kinds of legislations that there are asked, right from, let's say, your uh, Land Acquisition Act, Land Acquisition Rehabilitation and Resettlement, or LARA Act, that is there. Along with that, your other acts related to land. Fine. Then most important is your DDA Act. Okay. Delhi Development Act, very, very important. Plus Master Plan of Delhi. You have, I mean, if you are very well versed with these two can make it or break it for you. They are that important in your planning examination. Okay. Along with that, yes, planning issues related to Delhi NCR region, that is there. Again, details of NCR region, what all comprises of NCR region, basics of these sort is also what is expected to be known. Plus your building bylaws that are prevalent. Okay. I hope it's clear for all. Then coming to your architectural part. If you see in architecture, if I have to summarize subject wise, what all subject should one focus upon? Architectural design theory plus practice. So theory is everything that we study in college, but practice in terms of once you are out and practicing right from your professional practice. Okay, your Architects Act, all of these are important. Architectural graphics, scale proportion that is there, along with maps, different kinds of maps, everything. Building construction materials, you have surveying, structural design, building structures. Now, here, one important thing is that there are no numericals. Okay, it is all theory that is asked for your building structures. So, whoever feels that, oh, numericals is a headache, it's a relief for you. There are no numericals for structures. Professional practice, again, building norms, approvals, process of approval. If some plan is to be sanctioned, who is it to be submitted to, who approves it, etc. Along with that, your building norms plus your NBC, National Building Code, building services, right from your water supply, drainage, lighting, HVAC, all of these are asked. Climatology, again, your basics of climate, various regions, climatic zones, environmental studies. Again, same basics of your environmental design, environmental studies. Along with that, your green building rating systems. What is GRIHA? What is TERI? History of architecture, you have your Indian and Western architecture that is focused upon. So again, in Indian, the primary focus is temple architecture. In Western, it is more of your Roman, Greek. Again, in along with temple, you also have more of your Mughal architecture that is focused upon, or Islamic architecture rather. Again, in computer applications, you will find questions related to your AutoCAD, or let's say SketchUp, Photoshop. So you have questions related to these softwares, and you have landscape design. Okay, again, like basic questions related to landscape. Now, again, this syllabus or these subjects I'm discussing based on all the posts that are there. Now, let us look at the previous paper analysis. Let's start with planning first. So, we have a total of 5 papers that we are going to analyze for planning first, and then 3 papers for architecture. So, the first paper for planning is your Planning Assistant 2019. So, here you had 18 questions from architecture. Now, this breakup is out of 80 questions. Okay. The 10, or rather 40 questions from your part 2, I'm not covering here because that is set every year. It is 10 questions from those 4 sections. So, here the focus is your part 1. So, you had 18 questions from architecture, environment 15 questions. There were no questions from your DDA Act or your master plan, and 10 questions from planning legislation GIS. Now, this also includes all your basics of urban planning. Okay, your planning history. Fine. So, all the planning, if I put together, it's roughly 10 questions that were asked. More focus was on your urban services and transportation. Roughly 36 questions in total in the 2019 paper. But if you see in the 2020 paper, okay, out of the 80 questions, majority focus was on your master plan and the Delhi Development Act. So, master plan, you had 21 questions coming only based on the Delhi Master Plan of 2021. The DDA Act, you had around 19 questions. So, that is roughly around 40 questions out of 80. Okay, so 50% was from your Act and Master Plan in the 2020 examination. And then the remaining, you had again more questions from architecture as compared to all the other planning domains. So legislation, GIS, urban planning, basics, everything combined had 5 questions. Services, infrastructure 4, and environmental planning design plus climatology as well. Okay. Now here surprisingly, though climatology is more from your architectural domain, but here in 2020 examination, questions from climatology were also asked. So roughly 4, rather 5 from environment and 4 from climatology, to give you more of a detailed breakup if I have to. So in 2020, the scenario changed. Now, if you look at the 22 examination, again, you will see some change. Okay, this is very similar to the 2019 pattern that we see over here. Now, why this had also happened? Because in 2020, you also had the director and the deputy director, assistant director, deputy director examinations happening simultaneously. Fine. So here now in 22, if you see, your master plan has 6 questions and the act has 2 questions. So right from 40 questions here, in total, we are going to 8 questions combined for the act and the master plan. Planning legislation, GIS, 9 questions. Services, infrastructure and transportation, around 22 questions. Environment and architecture, 19 questions each. So here, what can we conclude rather is that there is no set pattern like your college examination, that okay, last time master plan was asked, this time also everything from master plan will be asked. Nothing of that sort is going to happen. Another surprise in the 22 planning assistant paper, if you see, you have questions from building services also, your core building services related to water supply and plumbing. So there were just three questions, but still, this was something that was not expected. Plus, building services as a whole is not there in the syllabus. Still, this was also asked in 22 examination. Then coming to the assistant director planning 2019 examination. Here, now in this case, this being the higher post, more focus is yes on planning legislation plus GIS. So roughly more than 50% questions are from there. 42 out of 80, 42 questions are from planning legislation and GIS. Architecture, you had some 27 questions and 4 and 5 questions from environment and services and transport. There were no questions from your DDA Act or the master plan. Okay. So here this again from a planning perspective, this seems more of a balanced uh, setting of questions because again more focus is on planning. However, here also master plan and the act should have been included. Then coming to your assistant director 2020 planning examination. Now here they have added your master plan and act. They've asked questions on it. Okay. So if you see this examination and the planning assistant 2020, this was in the same period. Okay. So here again, you have 14 questions from the master plan of Delhi, 4 questions from the act, 17 questions from your planning legislation GIS, still around 50%, more than 50% from your planning domain, especially. Then, yes, you have services, infrastructure. Again, all these services are your city level services, okay, not building level. So, we don't know why 2022 planning assistant they had asked building services, but yeah, here again 23 questions from architecture and 16 questions from your environmental planning and design. Now, overall, if you look at it, they have tried to balance the assistant director papers at least. There is some balance, there is more inclination towards the planning subject or planning related questions, but the same cannot be said for your planning assistant, unfortunately. Okay. Like the 2020 paper was another level uh, surprise for a lot of aspirants because this combination of master plan and DDA Act was not expected, having so much weightage. Okay, those who knew about it or who were well versed with the Act and the master plan did get through. But yes, they are also very, very important. Now coming to your architectural analysis. So here we are going to discuss three papers, that is of architectural assistant only. So the first is of the year 2019. Again, here if you see, well distributed, well sorted question paper. All subjects, all important subjects of architecture have been given roughly nearly equal weighted somewhere. Okay, like your architectural design focus was more on construction, But other than that, if you look at services or environment, history, surveying, structures as well, e- roughly 7 to 12 questions on each of them. Only construction, we have 21 questions that have been asked. Climatology, there was one question. Softwares, there were no question in the year 2019. Also, again, estimation is something that they have focused upon. Okay, one question they've asked each year. Coming to 2020 examination for architectural assistant, here you had 13 questions from design, 5 graphics, 18 from construction, 8 from services, 9 structures, history 13, 5 from software, so all your AutoCAD, Photoshop, etc. questions, and 7 from survey. So till now you might feel okay, building construction, they are asking good amount of questions, 21, 18. So that is the most important. But in 23, there were only 4 questions from construction. More went on for services. Okay. So again, architectural design, 23 questions in the 23 examination that happened 2 years ago. Graphics, 3 questions that has been consistent throughout. Okay. 2 to 3 questions for architectural graphics. That is something that is not changed. So 3 here, 5 here, and 3 here, not more than 5. Construction, they've reduced to only 4 from 20s and 18. Services, 13 questions. Structures, 8. Climatology, 3. Environment, 6. History, around 15 questions. Softwares, 4 questions. And surveying, only 1 question last year. Architectural graphics means where they are asking about various graphical representations, as in your scale, right? If a building is measuring so much by so much and the scale is of 1 is to 500, interpret that. Or how do you draw or how do you represent, let's say, a brick hatch that it comes under your graphics, right? Okay. Architectural design, as in what, Himanshi? You mean the questions in architectural design or what? Okay, I'll take all the questions later towards the end. Architectural design would have your basics of designs, your color theory, your scale proportion, or let's say design form, which architect has designed which building. All of these questions you will find in architectural design. Okay? Yes. So I would just like to announce that we are starting with live online courses that will begin from the 25th of September. There are going to be separate courses for your planning domain and architectural domain. The classes will be from 8 to 9:30 p.m. and we will be beginning on alternate days. Along with that, your live aptitude classes will also be covered in the syllabus because you have aptitude for 40 marks, which is a huge uh, weightage rather. Okay. So all these live classes, you will also be getting the recordings for them, and the classes would be conducted by previous year examination toppers from GATE or other competitive exams as well. All the faculty who's alumni of IITs, SPAs, and NITs. The entire syllabus will be covered. We will be beginning with the common syllabus first till the main syllabus comes. Okay. And your aptitude is also going to be covered in this. All the, again, along with that, we will be solving MCQs in the class. The faculty, whenever they finish whatever topic, they would be covering that as well. plus you will be having mock tests separately for each of your posts that you're applying for. Okay, and the access to the recorded classes, the live classes will be recorded, and you will have access to the recordings till the date of the examination. So you can view them multiple times, revise how many ever times you wish to. With our preparation strategy, I will answer everybody's questions, don't worry. Okay, I will answer everybody's questions. Vijay, who else is there? Monica, everyone, Arasan, Deepak. Eh, First, let us look at the preparation strategy. Now we've discussed the previous year questions, right? Or rather just the basic analysis of it. So one of the most important thing, now this strategy or this part of the strategy is common for both, either your architecture or your planning part. What I'm going to write here. Most important thing is your PYQ analysis that you need to do. Okay. Now, first of all, you have to analyze or you have to understand which criteria are you eligible for, which of the posts can you apply for. With that, do a previous year paper analysis. Now, for example, let's say if I am only eligible for the planning assistant exam, for example, but still you should do the analysis of your assistant director or your deputy director planning papers. Okay, because a lot of times these questions get repeated here or little because see here these questions are going to be in depth for assistant director and deputy director, but some questions from that little easier ones related to these questions are asked in the planning assistant examination as well. So how do you even again do your analysis? First and foremost, segregate these questions into the syllabus domain. So let's say I put planning legislation that is there, then architecture. Along with that, what else did we have? Environment, services, and infra. Okay. If you want, you can still break it up into transportation also. Now, again, under planning legislation, what type of questions are asked? Okay, there is some question on land pooling that is there. There is some question that is there on certain planning legislation, or let's say the Lara Act, for example. This way you go into one more level of detailing or one more level of depth to do the analysis. Same for architecture. Okay, in architecture, fine. There are some questions on architectural design. There are some questions on history of architecture. Again, in history, how many questions are there on Indian? How many are there on Western architecture? Go into that much level of detail. That will tell you how much you need to focus on which part and which topic. Okay, likewise, same for all of these: environment, your services, infrastructure, transportation, and of course your DDA Act and your master plan. These two, again, very, very, very important. Okay, you might feel, okay, in one exam it's come, in the other it has not come. Should I leave it for option? Don't do that. That is a recipe for disaster. Trust me. Same again we do for your architecture. If you're giving architectural assistant examination, still you are going to analyze the assistant director and deputy director papers as well. Is this clear, everybody? This is one of the most uh, important part of the exam strategy. You might feel, oh, this is a tedious task. बहुत time लग रहा है, taking too long, this is so boring. Trust me, this will help you sail through. Okay. Now coming to the planning strategy first. This is this we've discussed is the common thing that you need to do for both. Coming to planning, if I just summarize, okay, all the five papers that I showed you or discussed, planning assistant or your assistant director, from all these 5 years, primary focus again has to be your architecture as well in this case. So see, if you look at it, architecture is more of a vast part. Now, if I compare, if I look at these three, if you're preparing for planning assistant, let's say, if you see, every year there are lot number of questions from architecture that have been asked in planning assistant. And architecture, if you see, is little more vast as compared to planning. So finish that architecture part also. Now again, in planning assistant, I mean, some of you who are from B plan background, okay, for you, I would suggest first finish architecture. People from B arch background, first finish planning. Because see, in architecture, when you're doing your bachelor's in architecture, planning is not so much focused upon, though we have some subjects here and there, and vice versa for B plan. Architecture is not so much focused upon in your graduation, right? This I'm talking for planning assistant specifically. So finish off what you don't know first, and you have good amount of time, right? The dates are not yet out, so roughly another 3 4 months we still have in hand. Okay. And trust me, the architecture questions in this planning examination are not very difficult. So do this, either whichever background you are from, do the opposite first, which you have less knowledge of. Other than that, it could also be that, okay, you are very good in planning and architecture and very bad in environment. Can be possible. Finish off environment first then. Finish off what is more difficult for you right now, okay, before the dates are also announced. Because later, as you move closer to the exam date, and if you've not done this subject, whichever is difficult, you'll get more tension. Same for again architecture. If that is something that we cannot ignore, though this is a planning paper, then you have your planning legislation GIS. But if you see overall for this, more than planning legislation GIS, it is your environment services that have been focused upon more. And of course, the master plan and the act have to be done without saying. Okay. So again, let's say if you are from BH background, you can go first for planning, finish environment services, and side by side you can do master plan and the act, and then go to architecture part last for people who are from BH background. Okay. Why I'm saying you can do master plan and the act simultaneously, because these are more of technical terms and technical topics. Okay. These rest of these are more conceptual, though they have some facts, but these are technical. So when you get bored doing any of these, you can go for this, maybe one topic or one small chapter from that daily, from the master plan or the act. And if you are from your planning background, again, your architecture should be first priority, and then choose any of these. Because see, for B plan, you have environmental planning, you have services, you have transportation as well. All of these in detail, it is taught at graduation level as well. So choose whichever ones you like, again, depending upon your liking, your understanding, etc. And these can go parallelly. Clear? Now coming to the architectural part. Yes. So here, if you look at it, okay, majority of the questions you will find from your architectural design, building construction. Then yes, you have services, history. So we can prioritize that way that, okay, I will probably, let's say, finish maybe architectural design first, construction second, history third, or you can go first with history also because history is vast. Fine. Again, services is something important here. You can prioritize this second or for depending upon your interest. But finish the vast subjects first, then you have the rest. Another very interesting thing that I would like to share with all of you is that in the 2023 paper that was there, okay, the assistant architectural assistant paper of 23, we had some questions that were out of syllabus. Like, though they are part of your architecture, but you had questions from urban design directly. You had questions from conservation. You had questions from landscape. For the architectural assistant, I'm talking about, okay? This is not in the architectural assistant syllabus, but still these questions were asked. You had questions on based on CPM per project management. Along with that, universal design. Universal design still they have asked earlier as well, but in this time it was more specific. Your NBC specific questions. So again, in the classes, we will also be covering these additional topics which are not mentioned in the syllabus, but still questions have been asked on this. Okay. Softwares. Now coming back to the strategy. Again, here, if you see climatology or estimation, this is something you can do towards the end also. Softwares, I don't think you need to really sit and study because I'm sure all of us use it and it's more of practical questions that are asked. Okay. So that is something that we are hands-on with all your softwares, Photoshop, AutoCAD, etc. Right? So I hope you'll have little more clarity now, more structural clarity or more better understanding as to what to focus on and what not to focus on during the course of preparation.